Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of Hiker Homily. Today we're going to be answering some questions. I'm trying to get the sun right. It's kind of tough at this angle. Pulled from various sources on the internet. They're just general questions that people ask, and I'm going to try to answer a few to see if you guys think that's interesting. So here we go. So the first question is a fairly simple one. At least it should be, and it's kind of common sense, but here we go. As you can see, this person says that while camping, and I don't know if they mean backpacking or car camping or whatever, but while camping, her SO has said that it's standard and that you really should take your down sleeping bag or sleeping bag period, stuff it into the sack and have it all packed up and compacted during the day. If you're going to leave the tent and go do other things, day hike, whatever, and stuff like that, but then you're going to come back and sleep that night in the tent, that it's basically standard that you stuff your sleeping bag and just have it all packed up like that, and then you're going to unpack it at night to go to bed. That makes no sense to me on several different levels. Number one, if you're staying in this campsite for more than one night, it doesn't make any sense to completely, unless you have some OCD thing going on, and I get that can be the case here. Maybe this guy just has that thing that it's just something he has to do. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. It just makes more sense. Once you've got your sleeping area set up, leave it set up. That way you're not wasting time packing things in the morning. I know it doesn't take a lot of time, but still, it's like, I could be doing something else like brushing my teeth right now, instead of stuffing a sleeping bag in a stuff sack that I'm going to have to take out again tonight in this very same spot. You know, if I were moving, yeah, I'm going to be doing that. That's what you do when you break camp and stuff. But if I'm not breaking camp, no, the sleeping bag is going to stay down on the pad, and it's just going to stay in the tent. I'm going to go do my things for the day. I'm going to come back. It's all set. Number two, especially if it's a down sleeping bag, you want it stuffed as little as you can. I mean, at home, when you're done camping and stuff, you're supposed to take it out of the, I don't know if you guys know this, you're supposed to take it out of the stuff sack and like, if you can, lay it out like in your closet or flat somewhere if you can. You shouldn't store it stuffed in the sack. A down sleeping bag needs to, you know, in order to really keep itself going, needs to be out and kind of out and fluffed, not stuffed all squished together, as much as you can possible. So from that perspective, even, no, don't repack it. So her husband has this particular idea. Don't know where he heard it. Maybe it's a little bit of OCD. Maybe he just was told that someplace and decided that's gospel and sticks with it and is passing on misinformation to her. But no, if you have a nice sleeping bag like that and it's going to stay there, you're going to be there a couple of nights, you don't need to pack it in the morning, just to unpack it that night in the same place. So there you go. The biggest dangers. Yeah, I'm going to agree at least partially with this person. The biggest dangers when you're out in the wilderness, humans are at the top of the list, I'm afraid. Does that mean animals aren't dangerous? Of course not. If you're in grizzly country, that can be dangerous. A little bit of nerve wrack sometimes and things, but a lot of animals, they act on instinct, and so you can learn how to, like, you know, for bear encounters. I've gone to classes. I've read it up on the subject. I've encountered bears in the wilderness, and generally, and I've even done a whole bear safety video a couple of years ago on this channel. But generally, if you do A and B, the bear's going to do C, and off he goes. In general and stuff like that. With humans, it's just not that easy. Now, the caveat to that is it's still pretty rare. There are people out there, and this person's starting to lean that way. That it's like, yeah, you hear reports about people running into other humans in the wilderness and it going sideways and not being a good thing. But when you put that in the perspective of that's two humans that met in the wilderness and one of them was a psycho, where at that time there were thousands of humans in various wildernesses, and it was just that one psycho that got run into, unfortunately. I still maintain that you are much safer meeting a human in the wilderness. 9 times out of 10, probably 9.5 times out of 10, the encounter is going to be, hey, how you doing? Oh, doing pretty good. You heading to such and such? Yeah, I'm going to such and such. Like, I just came back from there. Really nice, really nice. Now I'm heading on to blah blah blah. And but yeah, you'll like such and such lake because it's looking great today. Oh, great, thank you very much. And there's your human encounter, 9.5 times out of 10. You know, that 0.5 time, yeah, it's going to happen. Whereas if I'm walking in a populated city where 911 is a phone call away, I am in far more danger because I'm running into more people of having an issue with somebody, unfortunately. So, yes, man is the most dangerous creature on this planet. There's just no way around it. But don't let that scare you so much that you just don't want to go out there, or you take crazy precautions. I'm going to be armed to the teeth. I'm going to carry my rifle and a couple of pistols and 4 daggers when I go out there because I'm not going to be a victim. I'll shoot the first person I see to keep them. You know, don't get crazy like that. Don't get just wild nuts. Make that the reason why you're making certain decisions. Fear should not be a reason for you to make certain decisions. It's a legitimate reason to make some decisions in some circumstances, but it should not be the foundation of why you do most things, or why you pack certain things, why you do or don't go certain camping places. You know, be cautious, yes, but don't let fear override things and all that. So that's just what I'm going to say there. Yep, totally agree with this person. Humans can be the most dangerous thing you encounter in the wilderness, but it is still such a rare thing, even today, that it shouldn't be something that you're completely overthinking. So there's my take on that. So this next one, person's asking the purpose of vests. In other words, you have either the fleece or the down puffy vests. You know, basically they're like a puffy jacket, but they don't have sleeves. It's a basic thing for when you're trying to keep yourself warm. You're protecting yourself. Most of the time, what you're talking about is your core heat. You don't want to lose core heat. It's in fact your body's basic defense. The first thing it does is try and move everything to your core to make things warmer there, because that's what it's trying to protect. And so that a vest is good for that. Because remember, I've done a video on this as well a couple of years ago. The big thing for comfort is layers. You're going to do layering. You're going to have your base layer, which is the layer of clothing that is like right next to your skin. So usually it's going to be some kind of a shirt, and it's going to be whatever underwear you choose to wear. That's your base layer. And then on top of that, you're going to have this and that. You're going to have maybe, you know, if you're expecting wind, I'm going to put on this kind of jacket if I'm expecting no rain. But if I'm expecting rain, it's going to be this kind, this and that. So a vest comes in handy for that, because it gives you that nice freedom of movement. It's not restricting your arms in any way. It's not overheating things, because there have been times where I'll be out there hiking and it's like, okay, it's cold enough, I'm going to put my jacket on. But then I get kind of like overheated. My arms are overheating. and I'm feeling sweat inside my jacket on my arms, so I really don't need my arms covered. Boy, it'd be nice if I could I either have to roll my sleeves up, or if I can't roll my sleeves up, am I taking the jacket off? Because it's still kind of cold out here. See, a vest would be perfect in the situation. So I do own a couple of vests myself. I have a fleece vest and a down vest. They do come in handy for certain situations where it's chilly enough that I'm trying to keep my core protected and warm, but I do not need my arms covered by anything more than like a long sleeve shirt or something like that. I don't need a full jacket covering. A vest, that's what it's good for. So this next question talks about camping with dogs, but what I think they really mean is wild dogs, which in the United States we don't deal with too much, a little bit, but not too much. We don't have any naturally wild dogs. We have coyotes, which I guess would technically be a wild dog. You know what I mean, a canine. We have some wolves in areas, but mostly coyotes would be the issue and things like that. And maybe that's what they mean, because this person does talk about, they do apologize at the end about, their English might not be clear. It's their second language. And, their English was pretty good, so kudos to them. But, so they're talking about how they probably don't need to get a bear canister because there's no bears in the area, but they are concerned about dogs coming into their camp and eating their food, what kind of containers and stuff like that. The problem is the person asking the question didn't say what kind of camping, because in other parts of the world, camping means backpacking, where in the United States, backpacking is a specific type of camping, and to us, camping is in a trailer or a tent in a park somewhere in a campground. In other parts of the world, camping is closer to backpacking, and it's dispersed camping and things like that. So the person didn't say what kind of camping they were going to be doing. If it's car camping, just keep the food in the car. If there's no bear issues, because the reason they say don't do it in the car is because a bear will rip through your car to get to it with no problem. Not even think about it. Your door's gone. A dog can't do that. So it would be safe there. But if it's not car camping and you are outside, there is nothing wrong with getting a bear canister, because I know they're called bear canisters because they were originally developed specifically for that thing. But really what they are is pest or varmint canisters. They work just as well to keep coyotes out, raccoons, and any other kind of little varmints, chipmunks that you could run into out there backpacking. The bear canister works. So nothing wrong with getting one of those, because it'll keep wild dogs out. It will. And coyotes will be kept out, all that kind of thing. So that is a way to do it. Another way would be you get a locking ice chest, or just a food storage bin. And the only problem is there are some dogs, if it's thin enough plastic, they'll chew through it. Or they're smart enough to know that if they knock it over, the lid will pop off. So you have to get one that has a very secure lockable lid and stuff like that. But even then, with the plastic being possible that if it's a big enough dog, they'll chew through it. Again, I really think that a bear canister, just because it's called a bear canister doesn't mean it doesn't protect your food from other things, right? Bear is just the top of the pyramid that it protects from. All the other smaller animals down below the bear also can't get into the bear canister. So it makes sense. That's just how it goes. So there you go. So our next question is, what's the deal with Electrolyte drinks? Do you really need them to stay hydrated? The most accurate answer I can give is yes, some people do. It depends on what you're doing and what's going on. To be quite honest, excuse me, electrolyte drinks were developed for athletes. They were. I believe it was a football team that was used to competing in humid areas and things like that. that first developed one of the first ones, or helped develop one of the first ones for their team, and then it spread from there. So if you're just like hanging out at your house and you're doing some basic gardening, or you took a walk with your wife, or just basic regular activities and stuff like that, you don't really need electrolyte drinks. No, you don't for that kind of basic stuff. Are you out in the heat with friends and you're playing a non-competitive, non-league soccer game with friends, but you guys have been out there for about an hour and a half and you're just running around, you're having a good time, you're running around, you're playing some kind of competitive sport and stuff like that, couldn't hurt. Afterwards, should you be drinking it all the time and you just got to constantly have it? No. Good old water will take care of you. But, after that kind of thing, yeah. If you are doing a hiking day and you're pretty much hiking most of the day, say you're a through hiker or it's a long day hike, and so most of the day you are out on the trail, especially in the heat and things like that, probably good to replenish electrolytes probably at least once during lunchtime, and again in the evening, replenish electrolytes. Nothing wrong with that. So, heavy physical activity in the heat, probably a good idea to have some electrolytes to help replace those that you are losing while doing that. For just your basic everyday stuff, no, because a lot of people buy them, and I used to be one of those. I did. There was a particular brand that I do like. Since I had my diabetes diagnosis, I don't do them anymore, and I really shouldn't anyway, because one way electrolytes work is, of course, they have salt in them, because that is one of the electrolytes that you are losing and stuff. And so I shouldn't just be drinking them recreationally, they do have a purpose. You should only be using them when you are doing major physical exertion, especially in the heat. You're doing a lot of sweating and stuff because you're losing your electrolytes. Your natural electrolytes are being lost through that sweat and things like that. And so replacing them is a good idea, absolutely. But just for basic stuff, even if you sweat a little bit, but like not a whole bunch, don't worry about it. You don't really need to. So yeah, there's a lot of people that use electrolytes like they drink it like they drink water, and it's like you don't have to do that. No. Now the last question, there were several people asking, and it almost turned into a debate online, because people online, what are you gonna do? They want to argue about everything. Ask, can you basically overdose on electrolytes? The electrolyte supplements, like the powders and things like that. Yes, you can. You can indeed do too much of that. Again, I just answered the question previously. When is a good time to be doing the electrolytes? And it's when you're like doing long-term physical stuff. But electrolytes should not replace water. You should be hydrating with water. And even water, it takes a lot. But even water, you can overdose yourself with that. The human body can only take so much of almost anything, and that includes water, that includes electrolyte supplements and things like that. So make sure you're using the electrolyte supplements as directed, like a lot of things. A lot of people maybe don't realize it, but the packages tell you, you should mix it with this much water, and you should have it at this time, and not more than blah, 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 and this many liters, and follow the directions. And you should be fine. If you're exerting yourself big time all day and sweating a lot, then use the electrolyte supplements to help gain those electrolytes back. But even if you are exerting yourself all day and sweating a lot, don't overdo it. Follow directions. Okay, this is supposed to be mixed with 1 liter, so you mix it with 1 liter, and then you drink that 1 liter over the course of as you're hiking and stuff like that. And you should be good for quite a while, even if you're straining yourself and hiking and sweating more. You've replenished some stuff there. Drink water to keep yourself properly hydrated and things like that. And then, like I say, lunchtime, you supplemented with some electrolytes. You should be good to go until dinner time-ish. After you're done hiking, camp is set up, and you're cooking, throw down another electrolyte drink. You'll replenish what you lost during the afternoon. Now, if you start feeling issues because you're hiking in the desert, that's a whole different animal. Yeah, you might want to do another one in the middle of the afternoon before you set camp up and things like that. Absolutely. So it's going to be situation. You have to have situational awareness. You have to know how your body normally feels under certain circumstances and not understand, oh, I'm starting to feel like I'm having some issues here, and then supplement. It should not be the only thing you're drinking. You should be mostly drinking water to keep yourself hydrated, and then you're supplementing the electrolytes to try and replace what you're losing. You shouldn't be drinking them from the time you start hiking all the way until you make camp, and then another one for good measure, because yes, it is possible to overdose on the electrolyte supplements. So, and I'll put up some of the symptoms here. As I've been talking, you should be seeing some of the symptoms of electrolyte overdose. So there you go. And that's going to be the questions. I hope this was a little something different. I know I'm in the middle of trying to edit and get out all the road trip videos. We still have several days to go. So those will be continuing. Got a couple of small hikes we did while on that road trip that I'm going to try and get out. It's just a matter of, you just got to be patient with me, because remember, I'm a one-person operation. I do the filming, I do all the editing, all that kind of stuff. So it takes me a while to get things out, because I also do a lot of other stuff in life. I got a family, I got all kinds of other things I'm doing. So there you go. Hey, thanks for hanging out, and appreciate you watching this goofy little channel of mine, and I'll talk to you next time.